What did we get there? We need to get the ashes. We need to find something.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you to that which you seek.
Get something. Oh, the tankard. Was there not a tankard here? We could take the tankard. For the ashes. Yeah.
Well, if no one's cleaned up, you might as well do them the favor.
Let's go get the ashes. Who added? Yeah. It's for the ashes, because the things disappeared. The objective. Was it? No, it's here.
I'm afraid I need to have another look inside Miss Lathan's room, Officer Kane.
All right, but please be quick about it.
My pod is a bit sticky today. I spilt juice all over it yesterday.
Oh, Miles, really? You're going to carry the ashes around in a pewter mug?
Yeah.
It's vital to the investigation that we find out exactly what happened to the body. If anyone can tell us for certain, it's Dr. Edwards.
Fair enough. I suppose this isn't the most unpleasant thing you've carried around before. Remember that time we had to go looking for that murder victim's missing head?
I'd really rather not, actually.
I didn't mean to go into there. So I guess we go to the police station, unless the doctor's elsewhere.
Ugh. The smell from the bedroom is getting worse. I don't know how much longer I can stand it.
Probably the police station.
Dear Lord, what is that smell? Did you step in something out there, Fordham?
Private investigation is a dirty job, Upton. You know that.
Go in there.
Miles, are you crazy? If you go wandering around the department for no good reason, Snelling will have you thrown in the jail.
This horn here,
Pretty sure that connects Upton to everyone on the police network, including Giles at the jail. Lucky her.
Can't use it.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
Would it be possible for me to access the mortuary?
The mortuary? What for?
I'd like to consult with Dr. Edwards.
All right, but be careful. Make sure you don't let Snelling see you back there.
Oh, he'll probably smell us though.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Dr. Edwards' lab was always a fascinating place to learn about death. A bit less so now that I'm quite the expert.
Oh, did I miss cleaning up some bit of that last corpse? Oh, Fordham, what brings you down here?
Hello, Edwards. I was wondering if I could pick your brain.
Yes,
this one
yes,
over
of
here?
course. There's one in a jar over there, and I may have another one around here somewhere.
That coroner humor never gets old, does it?
Anyway, let me know what you want to discuss. This fellow's not going anywhere.
With the red glasses. I want to have a look around first.
I'm pretty sure I saw Edwards weighing his lunch on this once. Well, at least he died with a smile on his face. Sort of. Looks rather fresh. There's a plaque at the base of the jar that says H. Putnam. Assorted lab equipment for setting things on fire or causing explosions. You know, the perfect way to pass the time.
H. Putman's got anything.
I remember when Edwards used to keep his collection of preserved reproductive
it.
organs on this shelf. He must be getting soft in his old age. Or perhaps that's exactly what happened to his collection. A fine example of well-developed deltoids, latissimus dorsi, and gluteus maximi. The brain is truly a fascinating organ, if only more people used it. You've seen one dissected torso, you've seen them all. It sure is a lot of rubbish crammed inside our upper bodies, isn't there? It's important to keep your hands clean when dealing with dead bodies. After all, you never know where they've been. Until after the post-mortem exam, anyway. I wonder if Edwards ever got around to fixing this typewriter. The letter E being out of alignment always made his reports a nightmare to read. This provides the room with just the right amount of heat. Unlike the incinerators in the crematorium. Talk about overkill.
He's full of
I
jokes
feel
today.
sorry for the poor slob who has to clean that out. Seems to be empty for now. That's most definitely a good thing.
Cabinet.
Edwards keeps assorted bottles and specimens in there. Nothing too remarkable that I can see. I'd say being hooked up to that machine was the worst experience of my life, except I was already dead at the time. Imagine a giant mosquito sucking out all your blood and then replacing it with formaldehyde. Not very pleasant. Nice pair of legs. Edwards must have some very good friends in the department who have gotten this custom-made table. It does suit the room, though.
Skulls and everything. What's that?
Not a stitch of clothing on him. As if having your torso ripped open and poked around inside weren't bad enough. There truly is no dignity in death.
That's how I talk to Dr. Edwards.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yes?
The work must way up.
You didn't examine Bill after he died, did you?
Ha! He wishes.
No, there was nothing inconclusive about his death. He died from impact after falling from the roof of a building. Why? Was there something else I should have looked into?
No, I was just curious.
As fond as I am of Edwards, it would have been a bit much for him to go poking around my insides.
So, Snelling got promoted to chief, did he?
Yes, not too long after you left. Personally, I think he took advantage of your situation to change things around here.
Was it really that much of a shock? Bill and I weren't exactly the most well-liked detectives on the force.
But you were respected. You two solved over 350 cases in 15 years. You were an institution.
Damn right we were. It's so easy for people to resent their more successful peers.
Ah, Edwards. Nice to know someone missed us. Keeping busy down here, Edwards?
Oh, you know me. I've always got my hands in someone.
Edwards always did have a way with words.
This postmortem was just a formality, really. The victim died of a gunshot wound to the head. Last week, though, we had a real kicker. An old man was brought in, and though he appeared quite dead, I was told that he'd been in a trance for over half a year. Apparently, he was hypnotized right at the point of death, and somehow managed to remain alive, in a fashion. In any case, when I began performing the exam, his entire body decayed into a putrefied mess within minutes. It was fascinating.
Should you really be giving me these details, Edwards?
Oh, hell, I don't mind telling you, Miles. It's not like you're going to go tell Snelling. Besides, you're the only one who's come to see me all week. Dead people make lousy conversationalists.
Hey, I take offense to that statement.
But our new router is a lot less drop pockets. 0.1%. A lot higher than that.
I found this piece of burned cloth at the crime scene. Could you take a look at it for me?
What do you need me to look at exactly?
It appears to have some oily residue on it.
Interesting. I'm afraid I have my hands full right now, but you can feel free to use my workbench if you'd like.
To do what exactly?
Surely they taught you something about basic chemical analysis when you worked here.
Yes, well, I always let Bill handle the more technical aspects of our cases.
Bill can help us
A
though.
real pity I'm not around to help you anymore, isn't it?
But I'll have a look and see if something comes back to me.
Ashes.
I've got these human ashes from a crime scene.
Straight to the point. I knew I liked you for a reason, Fordham. Who do they belong to?
Desiree Lathan. She was a Gascon Grand Dame.
Oh, of course. I heard about that case. She was found burned in her home, wasn't she?
That's right.
I meant to go over there later today.
Well, then I suppose I've saved you the journey. Would you have a look at these?
Does this mean you're officially on the case?
Not as such. In fact, I'd appreciate it if you didn't mention I'd been here.
Ah, clandestine operation. Sneaking around under Snelling's nose.
I don't have much of a choice. I'm pretty much persona non grata around here these days.
Well, you're always welcome in my mortuary. Preferably while still breathing, of course. Anyway, I'll just take those ashes off your hands. I'm sure your social life will soon improve.
Yes, I
Apart
was
from the
making
smell.
quite the impression.
This is an interesting choice of container.
It was either that or carry them around in my bare hands.
Well, I'm a bit busy right now, but I should have something for you within the next couple of hours. But you do realize the information won't be exclusive to you. I'll have to pass it on to the detectives on the case.
Naturally. That just gives me more of an incentive to work quickly. Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Fordham.
Right, let's go to the workbench and see what we can do with this cloth. I wonder if I should save it.
Oh, it's been
We can muck
ages
up
since we got to
sometimes.
do any type of chemical analysis. This will be grand.
Dr. Edwards, could you remind me what it is I'm meant to be doing?
Yes, of course. Go ahead and get as much of that oily residue from the cloth into the petri dish. Good. Now add some of the chemical reagent in the red bottle to the dish.
Aha! The oil turned orange.
Yes! The reagent has caused a chemical reaction and changed the oil's color. Isn't science fun?
Quite. But how does this help me?
I have some samples of the most common types of flammable oils on the shelf. Go ahead and add them to the test tubes. Good. Now simply check each one with the reagent to see if you can find a match.
And if I don't find one?
Then I suggest going out and looking for more oil samples.
Yeah. Didn't,
Looks like ammonium chloride. Won't be of much use to us in this experiment.
oh, do I need to? Ah, right, I need to see if I can get the same color. Okay.
Too bad. I would have bet on it being coal oil. So much for kerosene being the culprit.
Whale oil.
Whale oil be damned. Looks like that's not a match. Oh, you love it.
We have no more oil. Find another oil sample. Save. Please examine that. We need to find more oil. Find where that oil came from. You won't
I
talk
don't
this yet.
think the good doctor has anything else to teach us right now.
Almond fluid? No. Find some oil. Maybe talk to Upton.
Got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
No, I don't want to wrap up.
That's it for now.
Better get back to it then.
Where would we find some oil? Let's go talk to our wife.
I've managed to survive the wild streets of New Britannia.
Good to see you've made it back in one piece.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
Was Desiree Lathan a client of yours by any chance?
No, but plenty of the other grand dames used to gossip about her.
What sort of things would they say?
Usually they'd comment about how much she'd had to drink the night before. I got the impression she was quite the tippler. I hope you're not planning on following her example.
That would require me to burn to death in our bed.
Then I stand by my previous statement.
You've got an appointment with Charlotte Robineau later today, don't you?
Are you using your detecting skills on me now?
I spoke with her at the Gascon Supper Club, and she mentioned you. Turns out she knew Desiree Lathan.
Makes sense. That social circle is tiny.
She wasn't very forthcoming, though. Do you think you might try and persuade her to talk?
Persuasion shouldn't be necessary. She usually just sits in the chair and starts gossiping up a storm. I think I know more about all the Gascon grand dames than anyone should.
That's good. That's very good. Right. These are the things I want you to ask her about.
So you want me to take off about an inch, but keep enough for your curls?
Yes, that's right. You know how I like it, Adelaide.
How was the Grand Dame's ball? Was your hairdo a hit?
Oh, it was. All those other old biddies were practically fainting with jealousy. Truth be told, though, the evening was rather dull. Just the regular crowd of wags and gossips. You know, sometimes I envy people like you, Adelaide.
People like me?
Yes, you know, ordinary people. Being a member of high society can be so draining. One quite lacks a sense of purpose, of ordinary honest usefulness that comes from a good day's labor.
Have you done much of that sort of labor yourself, madam?
What? No, of course not. But I imagine it must be quite good for the soul, quite grounding. Just being what you are. No airs or pretense. Oh, you've missed a bit there on the left ear. Do be sure it comes out even.
Certainly, madam. I was reading in the paper this morning about what happened with Desiree Lathan. Did you hear about that?
Oh, such a tragedy. Poor Desi. We hadn't talked in a long time, but how terrible to think of her dying in such a horrible way.
My condolences.
Thank you, dear.
Did you and Desiree used to be friends?
Oh, we were like sisters at one point.
What happened?
What else? A man got involved.
You were both after the same man?
No, quite the contrary. We both enjoyed being unattached and had vowed to keep it that way. The Spinster Sisters, we used to call ourselves. But I fell for a man a few years ago. We got married, and Desiree stopped speaking to me.
That's a shame.
Yes, especially considering the marriage only lasted a few brief months. I lost both my husband and my best friend. I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in that.
The painting. Look.
I heard someone mention that Desiree had her portrait painted recently.
Yes, I heard that too. I think it was Caroline who told me. Yes, that was it, Caroline. She was looking for a portrait artist and told me Desiree had found one. Roger DeVay, I think she said his name was.
Oh, we'll have to go talk to him then.
Roger DeVay? Sounds mysterious. Who is he?
Well, I don't know about mysterious. He's just an artist. Not a very good one either, from what I hear.
He didn't do a good job on the portrait?
Oh, no, he did fine. I just meant he hasn't really taken off. His paintings aren't worth very much, you see. But Desiree took a liking to him very quickly. Even went as far as giving him an extra key to her apartment.
Oh.
If there was anything more going on between them, I couldn't say. But she could have done a lot better, if you ask me. I mean, he's barely even an artist now. I heard he took a teaching position at the university. Now, who would want their likeness immortalized by a lecturer?
I see. Well, I hope he makes it in the world someday.
miracles may happen.
Okay, we've got a new objective. Well, let's do the music.
I
one.
have to say, your musical selection for today is lovely.
It's nice to know someone like you can appreciate some of the finer points of culture.
Someone like you.
In case you were wondering, the piece is the Fourth Symphony by a composer named Theophilus von Wagner.
Yes, it's refreshing to hear the Fourth Symphony for a change. Most people know von Wagner for his Fifth Symphony or his Lute Concerto in D minor.
Oh, you know von Wagner?
Although I admit he isn't one of my favorite Baroque composers, I can appreciate
People
what he
don't.
brought to the movement.
Morning
I'm
to
more
you.
in favor of Scaravaldi. His development of the Concerto Grosso makes for much richer musical tapestry.
How are you
Wouldn't
today?
you agree?
Oh, well, perhaps so.
Do you have any favorites among Scaravaldi's works?
His First Symphony is
He doesn't
quite
know anything
riveting.
about
Do you mean his
Scaravaldi.
Concerto for Mandolin? He didn't have a First Symphony as such.
Well, yes, that's what I meant. As much as I enjoy chatting, perhaps you should concentrate on
She
what
didn't
you're
know
doing,
anything
dear.
about that.
Good. I think that's all finished.
Thank you, Adelaide. It was a pleasure, as always.
Likewise, Miss Robinow. I'll see you next week.
Okay, so we've got a few clues
And
there.
she didn't tip very well either.
I'm sorry, dear. She sounds positively dreadful.
No more than the other Gascon Grand Dames. I just hope you managed to get something useful from that.
We certainly did.
Enjoy your reading. I'll be back soon.
Goodbye, dear. Love you.
Love you too.
Yeah, it's quite similar, isn't it? Sort of working on individual cases. The background case as well. Guess we're going here. We've got this sort of the current case. Desiree Latham was found burned to ashes under mysterious circumstances, and you've got to do all your objectives. Got our clues. No suspects. Documents. I think I failed the first one. I didn't really solve it properly. I solved the second one okay. I'm doing okay now. Had a few issues this morning. My computer after the last Microsoft update, but been running. Computer is working well. Since the last one popped in on Wednesday.
All the tools an artist would ever need. Brushes, pieces of canvas, paints. There's also several jars full of clear liquid. Interesting.
Over here.
I'm guessing it's locked, but it probably only contains more art supplies we don't care about.
Yeah, a lot of us would like to look like that.
Where dreams go to die.
Guess this is the teacher, Roger DeVay.
These aren't half bad. Nice to know the students aren't completely wasting their time here. Well, so much for modesty. Ooh, is it warm in here or is it just me?
Yeah, he's not really showing it, is he?
Excuse me.
Yes,
Are you Roger DeVay?
I am.
Miles Fordham, private investigator. I have some questions for you if you aren't too busy.
Will this take long? This isn't exactly the best time.
It shouldn't, no.
All right then, quickly.
How long have you been teaching at this university?
About 4 years now.
And do you also earn money with your painting?
Not of late. I haven't sold a painting in some time. But my salary from the university is enough for the time being. Perhaps someday I'll be able to devote the proper focus to my painting.
Do you know Desiree Lathan?
Desiree? Yes, of course I know her. What happened to her was just awful.
Indeed. My condolences, Mr. DeVay. What can you tell me about her?
She was a wonderful woman. Sharp, full of life.
Yeah, it's
extremely
very well
witty.
done in this game,
I
isn't
only
it?
knew her for a short time, but I consider myself lucky to have had her as a friend.
How did you two meet?
We were introduced at a party and became fast friends. It's hard to believe she's really gone.
Do you have any information regarding Desiree's death?
No, none at all. It came as a total shock. I heard she was burned to death. Oh, is that true?
It is.
It's really just unthinkable.
Do you know of anyone who might have wished harm upon
The
her?
only thing
No,
I feel they've got
everyone
wrong
loved her.
here.
To think someone could be capable of doing that to her, it
Same.
just makes me feel sick.
Presumably they're facing each other, so I would have thought this light effect should be on this side. He should be shaded from the other direction. Yeah, they must have some sort of routine, doesn't it, that listens to the audio and then that in time. But it is well done. Yeah, the light in the eye. I just feel it should be, that image should be reversed. Otherwise they're standing side to side.
You painted Desiree's portrait, is that right?
Yes, I finished it just a few months ago.
Do you often do commissioned work?
Sometimes, but this wasn't exactly a commission, more like a gift.
You mean you weren't paid for it?
No, I didn't do it for money. It was an honor just to paint her.
I see. And did she like the result?
Well, she had it hanging in her bedroom and not in her attic, so I assumed she liked it well enough.
It was a rather nice portrait, I must admit.
Oh, so you've seen it?
Indeed I have. Regrettably, I can't comment on the likeness, never having seen the subject in life.
Ah, yes. Well, she used to say that standing in front of it was like looking into a mirror. I tried my best to do her justice.
I'll let you get back to your class.
And it
Right.
would have been a quick fix just to reverse the image, really. But I don't know if we got anything out of that. Speak to him. Well, we've spoken to him now.
Probably best not to disturb his class if you've got nothing new to ask about.
We need to find something out to ask him. Oh, we can look at the supplies.
Huh.
Why?
This is linseed oil.
Oh,
It's used as a drying agent for oil paintings. It would be a good idea to take a sample of this, Miles, especially now that nobody's looking.
yeah, we needed a different type of oil test. Now we've got linseed oil. So let's go back to the coroner's office. Yeah, the animations are really good. Sometimes I feel the characters too big or too little when they're moving. Don't scale them properly, but he almost looked as though he got smaller there, didn't he? He was quite big when he came in the door, and then he's got smaller looking.
Now that we've got some linseed oil, it's probably worth testing.
But I've been really enjoying the game. That's the
Well,
right
I'll be
colour.
damned. We've got ourselves a match. I wonder if Edwards knows anything pertinent about this stuff.
Pardon me, Edwards.
Yeah,
Yes?
Willy Wonka. Right, let's do the linseed
What do you know
oil.
about linseed oil?
It's an oil made from flaxseed that has many uses. Most commonly, it's used to dry things like varnish or oil paints. Some people even eat it for health benefits. I hear it goes well with a bit of quark.
What nurse quark?
And it's flammable?
As most oils are, yes. Where are you going with this?
The oily residue on that rag is linseed oil.
Fascinating.
But I found no trace of anything used to light a fire at the crime scene.
Uh-oh, he's getting that gleam in his eye.
Wait just a moment. Linseed oil. Of course! Anytime linseed oil is used, extreme caution must be taken to dry cure rags that may be soaked in it. That's because when linseed oil dries and oxidizes, it releases heat. A pile of rags soaked in linseed oil in a confined space runs the risk of spontaneously combusting.
How long would this take exactly?
A few days, at least.
Interesting. It's a rather uncertain means of murder, but it's excellent for appearing accidental.
It's certainly not the most far-fetched conclusion you've ever come to.
Oh, yeah, I was going to type that in once he'd finished talking. Yeah, see, I thought quark was something like that. But it didn't sound like that's what he was on about, did it? I'd heard about quarks to do with the Hadron Collider. No, it didn't, did it? It sounded like something different. Wonder what else you can get with quark. Have a quick look up. Oh, it's a dairy product. It's a type of fresh dairy product made by warm and soured milk until the desired amount. Oh, there you go. Why am I getting an echo? Is that off my phone? Apologies for the echo. Right. Okay. Well, I haven't had it. There was a bit. We obviously get it over here because there was a picture of a Tesco product, our local supermarket.
Have you had a chance to look at those ashes I gave you?
Yes, I have. Unfortunately, there isn't much I can tell you. The victim burned to death at a very high temperature. These ashes are greasy and putrid because of liquefied fat from the body, which burned like a candle.
It's quite all right, Edwards. I appreciate the information nonetheless.
Well, just so you don't go away empty-handed, have a copy of my report. Maybe it will be of some use.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know for the moment.
Anytime, Ford.
Got an analogy to the Rennet, or just doesn't agree with you? What did we get there? Coroner's report. Here we go. Burning to death. Cause of fire is undetermined, but we've worked out it was the cloth. Let's go talk to the lecturer again. I really like the way you can cut in the chat to look stuff up. Lecturer. Love cheese. Never without cheese in the house. Do so much with cheese.
Probably best not to disturb his class if you've got nothing new to ask about.
But we want to ask him about the cloth. I think we should go talk to... See, it was possibly an accident. He maybe just accidentally left the cloth under the bed.
Probably best not...
Talk to him. Yeah, it definitely is. Nothing better than... I quite often just have... cheese and crackers in the evening. Love that. Wonder if we go to the police station. I'm gonna have a re-look at this. We haven't talked to the lawyer yet. Properly. Oh, the coroner's report. Let's go to the lawyer and show him the coroner's report.
Begging your pardon, sir.
Yes?
Perhaps Mr. Usher will see me when he sees this.
Oh, what's that?
A report from Dr. Malcolm Edwards, the city coroner, confirming Miss Lathan's untimely demise.
I think you've mentioned
me see that.
the grilled cheese before. Sounded really good.
Oh my. Wait one moment, would you?
Martin, what is the meaning of this?
The gentleman who brought that is a private investigator. He's waiting outside to see you.
Send him in, then.
You heard him, Mr. Fordham. You may go inside and see Mr. Usher.
Thank you kindly.
Yeah, we've got a sandwich toaster. We haven't used for a long time, but we did used to use it a lot. I made omelets this week and supper one night. Got cheese in that as well. Various other things.
So, a private investigator, are you?
That's right. Miles Fordham is my name.
Jonas Usher, a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
Pleasure's all mine.
So, it would seem that Miss Lathan has shuffled off the mortal coil, as it were.
I'm sorry to say that is indeed the case.
Please come in, have a seat. Make yourself comfortable. I only ask that you kindly wash your hands in the basin first, and limit what you touch in here.
This one seems a bit on edge, doesn't he?
Cheese is important in a lot of things. I use cheese so much. Like I made Parmesan chicken one evening as well this week, and that's got cheese in it. Macaroni cheese, it's another thing that's really good.
Thank you, Mr. Fordham. I appreciate your cooperation.
Is there anything more boring than books on law? Just reading the titles is making me drowsy. Stern-looking lady. Judging by how full these bottles are, Usher doesn't indulge much. What a waste.
This down here, is that just the light?
Adds a nice bit of color to the room. Usher seems to like keeping his guests at a distance.
Yeah, quite a distance. It sure does.
Mr. Usher, I have some questions for you.
And hopefully I have your answers.
We're making chili, we always grate some cheese on top as well.
Mr. Usher, I've noticed from your rules and habits that you seem to have a particular aversion to germs. Why is that, if I may ask?
I've been ill most of my life, Mr. Fordham. I was a sickly child, and unfortunately my condition hasn't improved with age. It's a miracle I'm still alive. That's why I'm so careful about exposing myself to germs.
I see.
How's my color? Do I look pale to you?
Not particularly.
Just your forehead.
I saw myself in the mirror this morning and thought I looked a bit peaked. Also, my leg has been hurting more than usual, which has been cause for concern.
Nah, you've really done it, Miles.
But a hypochondriac.
Yes, well, moving on. How long have you been practicing law, Mr. Usher?
Usher and Price has been operating since 1805. I took over from my father 15 years ago. The stress hasn't helped my heartburn, I can tell you that. Why, just last night I was tossing and turning because I couldn't stand the burning in my throat. That's why I've got these bags under my eyes, you know.
Ah, yes. And Mr. Price?
He's still here, although I think he'll probably be retiring soon as well. But the law firm has done well over the years, and I have a feeling it'll do even better in the years to come.
Oh? Why is that?
We're currently beginning a group litigation against Royal Maverick for the Lygia disaster. I'm confident that we'll recover quite a significant sum for the families of those killed. You weren't by chance affected by the disaster, were you?
Thankfully, I wasn't, no.
Shame. You could have joined the class action and done quite well when we win.
You know, I always thought we detectives made our living off human tragedy.
What can you tell me about Desiree Lathan?
She was a lovely woman. I'm saddened to hear of her unfortunate passing.
How long had you been her attorney?
She retained me some 10 years ago, I believe.
That's quite a long time.
Yes, I remember I had just gotten over a bout of melancholia and been able to work in nearly a month. I didn't think I'd make it out of that, but luckily things took a turn for the better. Miss Lathan came to see me, and I've served as her attorney ever since.
Would you say Miss Lathan is a wealthy woman?
Indeed I would. Her estate is worth a significant sum. Of course, you understand that this is confidential information, so I cannot tell you the exact amount.
Yes, of course. Can you think of anyone who may have wanted to harm Miss Lathan?
No, I can't. What makes you think that someone actually killed her?
It seems the most plausible explanation.
Miss Lathan was getting on in years. It's likely she may have developed a case of pneumonia. That's the most common killer of the elderly, you know. I had it when I was younger. Most unpleasant. Constant coughing,
Totally had everything.
rattling in the lungs. Thankfully, I made a full recovery.
But supposing that was the cause of death, how would it explain the fact that her body was completely burned?
She was a smoker. Perhaps she was having a cigarette when she died and dropped it on the bed, causing it to catch fire.
I found no cigarette butts at the crime scene.
I'm merely offering my opinion, Mr. Fordham. You can take it or leave it.
I think we should leave it.
Still got to find this person that was infatuated with her, that wrote the letters.
I found this letter in Miss Lathan's bedroom, which mentions that she recently changed her will. Could you tell me a bit more about the circumstances surrounding this change?
That's not an uncommon occurrence. People change their wills all the time. Relatives and friends fall in and out of favor constantly.
Had Miss Lathan made changes to her will previously?
No, this was the first time.
What change did she make exactly?
Just a change to her beneficiary. Nothing out of the ordinary.
And when did this change occur?
About 4 months ago, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was definitely in June, because I'd been in bed with
I think
a
it's just to say you
nasty
can't
stomach
do
flu
anything,
the
you have to
other day.
wait.
That was no fun, let me tell you. I think I lost nearly 6 pounds from the constant trips to the WC.
Quite a nice
Couldn't keep
drawn
a thing
watch, isn't
down, and whatever did stay down soon came out the other end, if you get my meaning.
I'd say his meaning is regrettably impossible to avoid.
Who did Miss Lathan name as her new beneficiary?
Mr. Fordham, please. You know I couldn't possibly tell you that. There is such a thing as attorney-client privilege.
I've been replacing the watches, the batteries in my watches, because we don't have any shops open over here with the lockdown. All my batteries were flat, so I went and did it myself. The voice acting's been superb the whole way through it. All different voices and that. It's just I have quite a few watches from over the years, so and I got given my stepdad's watches when he passed away, so I need to get the batteries out of them since I can't get them swapped out at the. So I bought myself a little watch repair kit so I could get the backs off the watches, get the batteries out of them. So it worked well. But I have one watch with a battery fitted now, just to have a watch. But every single watch I have taken the back off of this week to take the batteries out, the battery has been different. So many different numbers, different types of batteries.
I'm aware of that. However, Miss Lathan is deceased. Therefore, it stands to reason that she is in fact no longer your client.
True, but her estate is still in my hands. I'm not going to betray her trust just because she's dead.
About Miss Lathan's beneficiary.
I told you, Mr. Fordham. I can't divulge information protected under attorney-client privilege.
Do you not find it suspicious, Mr. Usher, that Miss Lathan died under such mysterious circumstances only 4 months after naming a new beneficiary? You said yourself she was wealthy. Does it not make sense that someone might have wanted her inheritance?
I suppose it's not entirely out of the question.
Right. So tell me the name of Miss Lathan's beneficiary so I can determine if this was, in fact, a murder.
Very well. It was a man named Roger DeVay.
Interesting.
Do you know him?
His name's come up before in my investigation. Do you have his address?
Yes, it's 775 Pumblechook Place in
That's where we're
Shumley.
going next.
That'll do nicely. Thank you, Mr. Usher. Thank you for your help, Mr. Usher.
The pleasure is all mine, Mr. Fordham.
Yeah, it's plus you know, if you go to a jeweler's shop to get your battery, they charge you £10 over here for the battery and the time. I mean, I managed to get. I've ordered 2 different sizes of the batteries, and I got 10 batteries in a pack for £4. So, I mean, that's 40 pence each for the batteries. So they're really charging a lot of time, and it doesn't take long to swap to get the cover off if you've got the right tools. They're making quite a money. So I might start offering my services to people to swap their batteries out. I had 2 Seiko watches that are practically the same size. One's just a better watch than the other one, but they both had different size batteries in them. I would have thought the same manufacturer and the same sort of size watch would have the same size of battery in it. Yeah, it's an idea. I'm seriously thinking about it. Now that I have all the tools. It only takes me a couple of days to get specific batteries delivered, so. I mean, I've got all the special tools now for unscrewing the backs of the watches, or for prizing the snap-on ones off, and I can change the links on the strap and everything. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, especially since everything is still shut down here. None of our shops
Should
are
give us the
open.
wrong address? This should be 775, but there's no building here.
What's that say, Mr.
I used to draw funny pictures of rich people on walls too when I was a kid.
Oh.
Never did a lick of good, but it would always make me feel better.
Mr. Rich, I think it says.
These aren't in such bad shape, really. As far as the chum goes, this is one of the nicer areas. Yeah, those aren't half bad. Too bad they aren't finished. I wonder if they're going to be used to keep the fire going. Hey, that's just like the one we had when I was a boy. Good old Rusty. He served us well.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
Is this 775 Pumblechook Place?
Yeah, it would be if the building were still here.
Oh, I see. Might I ask you a few questions?
You can ask.
Like his hat.
Do you know Roger DeVay?
Know him? Of course I know him. He lives here with me.
He does?
Well, whenever he decides to come home, anyway. Rest of the time, I suspect he finds a way to sleep at his job. Me, I'd do the same, except I can't stand the smell of the horses.
I suppose the university would have plenty of places for one to sleep.
Oh, so he works at the university, does he? Well, I suppose that makes sense with him always putting on airs the way he does. Probably best not to mention me to him. He gets real testy when anyone asks about his situation.
I'll keep that in mind.
I mean, they've even got the eyes blinking and everything on each of the Portraits.
Tell me about Roger's artistic pursuits.
Boy, not much to tell, really. He used to paint all the time when he had his studio in the building that used to be here. He was good at it, too. Shame nobody ever bought his paintings. All that's left now are those two unfinished ones against the back wall there. We used the rest of his spare canvas to make the tent.
How did Roger feel about his paintings not selling?
What do you think? Made him madder in the March air. Didn't do a very good job of hiding his displeasure either. At least none around me. He
I
always
never
used to
noticed
say
that. I'll have
he'd
to have a look.
find some way or another to make the money he deserved.
Odd. He told me he was content with the salary he got from his teaching job.
That's a load of bunkum if I ever heard it. Truth is, old Roger's about as poor as Job's turkey. He'd do anything to make a quick crown.
Well, now, that's certainly interesting.
Do you know a woman named Desiree Lathan?
Nah, I don't know many women. They're not too fond of my company. Well, I don't understand why. I always try to be a perfect gentleman. Guess it just don't got the charm. I've asked Roger to give me a few pointers. He's a big hit with ladies, you know.
Is that right?
Oh, yeah. He no sooner looks at 'em than they're falling at his feet. Real natural, that one. Never brings it back here, though. Always winds up staying with him, getting a free meal and a soft bed out of it. Ah, well, the bohemian lifestyle ain't for everyone. Maybe someday my luck will change.
I'm sure it will change the day he decides to take a bath.
What's your name, sir?
Me? I'm Herman. Herman Shaw.
How long have you been living here?
Oh, I've been here for ages. Since before the building got condemned and was torn down. They pretty much forced us out, you see, but a couple of us came back and set up here. Seemed like a good idea, and I had nowhere else to go. That's not so bad, except for when it rains. And I guess we'll have to bundle up a bit more when it gets cold. But other than that, it's like the place was still standing.
There's some of that classic chum ingenuity. Or maybe it's just delusion.
I wonder what the protest thing is.
What happened to this place? Why was it condemned?
The building was old, in a pretty sad state, so the inspectors came by and said it was unfit for living. There was a whole lot of us here. Most were able to pick up and go, but a few of us stayed.
Why don't you go to a workhouse?
You wouldn't be asking if you'd ever been inside one. It's wall-to-wall people, children crying, sick folk coughing all over you.
But there's plenty of that out here, too.
Well, sure, but out here, there's freedom. Nobody telling you what to do except the odd copper. Not even many of them in this neighborhood. Besides, this is my home. Just 'cause it's missing a few walls don't mean I ought to abandon it.
Protest.
You look somewhat familiar. Didn't I see you protesting outside the Harris construction yard?
Yeah, I was there. What of it?
Were you affected by the Lygia disaster?
Well, nobody I know was killed, if that's what you mean.
So, why were you protesting the construction of the Lenore?
That Devons fella promised he'd buy us a meal if we stood in the crowd.
Oh.
And for a free meal, I'd do just about anything.
I thank you for your time.
Maybe give us a shilling or two for the trouble?
I'll consider it.
The alley. Painting Napoleon. Is that... Why, this one you think? Oh, Mats? I never clicked on it.
By chum standards, that's practically a four-poster.
Yeah, it does look a bit like him, doesn't it? Wonder who this is meant to be. That's almost a female, isn't it? Not sure. Right, so we should maybe go talk to DeVay again.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Could I ask you a few more questions?
Yes, I suppose so.
I've met your roommate, Herman.
I'm sure I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Fordham. I have no roommates.
Really? You don't live at 775 Pumblechook Place, in a rather cozy hovel?
How dare you, sir? I've done nothing to deserve such insults. I would appreciate it if you took your leave of me now.
Oh no,
Herman wasn't kidding about this one being proud.
he's not going to talk to us
Mr.
anymore.
DeVay,
Leave me alone, Mr. Fordham. I have nothing more to say to you.
I think it's him. And they used the cloth. He knew she was investigating the into spontaneous combustion. Let's go talk to the police.
got a moment, Upton?
Yes, but let's make this quick.
I think we can wrap up the case. I think it was the DeVay.
I'm done with the Lathan case.
Oh? What have you got?
It wasn't human combustion.
Actually, I'm not ready to wrap things up yet.
Okay.
That's it.
Better get...
How do we... I want to say it's him. But no suspects, but we do. Yeah. They're all pointing to the human combustion, but it's DeVay.
I don't think the good...
How do we maybe showed them the will and we failed with that? Let's go talk to everybody again.
I'm here.
It's always nice to see you walk through that door.
Addie?
What is it, Miles?
We're not going to get anything new out
What
of
have you
her.
been up to lately?
Nothing particularly exciting. My usual clients have been scheduling appointments, and I've been trying to get some new ones as well. In my free time, I've been catching up on my reading.
Anything good?
Yes, the conclusion to the dissembling mechanism was just published in Brentwell magazine last week.
What's that?
James Penstroke's latest serial. I wanted to read it to you, but you haven't been around much lately.
Perhaps I'll take a look now that I can actually concentrate again.
Yes, you could read it to me. I wouldn't mind hearing it again. It would certainly be a nicer way to spend your time than going out drinking.
Never going to forgive that.
I'll let you get back to your book.
So, because we can't prove anything, we're probably
I'll see you later, Addie.
going to have to say it's
Goodbye, dear.
spontaneous human
Love you.
combustion.
Love you too.
It could have been an accident. He might have just dropped the rag there by accident.
Nothing new to ask him about right now.
Can I go in?
I'm afraid I need to have another look inside Miss Lathan's room, Officer Kane.
All right, but please be quick about it.
Doesn't look as though this fireplace has been used in a long time.
Looked at all this already. There's nothing in the nightstand.
Nothing else of interest in there. Just a pile of ashes. They can't tell us much more than we already know. I don't think Desiree will be able to give us a hand with this investigation.
Bill?
What? I thought it was funny.
Yeah, it was funny the first time.
Alas, poor Desiree, a woman of infinite riches, of tastes most fancy. Well, where's all your money now? Come to think of it, that question might be worth answering.
We may not press them.
Welcome back, Mr. Fordham.
Right, we should have asked about the
I
well
don't think there's
first.
anything she can help with right now.
I'll be going now.
May the spirits guide you to that which you seek.
I don't think there's...
I don't think we're gonna, because we didn't ask about the well,
Best not to bother.
I don't think we can do anything else.
Mr. DeVay.
Leave me alone, Mr. Fordham. I have nothing more to say to you.